Every time we try to eat healthy, along comes Christmas, Easter, summer, Friday or Tuesday, and ruins it for us. Yep. Do women ever sit back and think, my man sure does know a lot, maybe I should just be quiet and listen to him? Has that happened to any of you? Oh, I got one hand in the back, that's good. That gives us all hope, thank you. If my body was a car, I'd trade it in for a newer model, because every time I cough or sneeze, my radiator leaks and my exhaust backfires. Word. Your GPS is wrong, turn around. Hello, my name is Catherine. I'd like to adopt a purebred cat from your shelter, preferably British short hair. I don't like mixed breeds for aesthetic reasons. Do you have one? Yes, we have one British short hair, but he wants to live with only British people. He doesn't like mixed breeds for aesthetic reasons. What? Provide us with your ancestry documents to proceed with the adoption. Keep that in mind. You're not hungry, you're bored. Shut the damn door. Okay, so residents submitted these, just so you know. John Wayne, his 5 rules to life. Money cannot buy happiness, but it's more comfortable to cry in a Mercedes than on a bicycle. True. Forgive your enemy, but remember the bastard's name. Help someone when they are in trouble, and they will remember you when they're in trouble again. Many people are alive only because it's illegal to shoot them. Alcohol does not solve any problems, but then again, neither does milk. So there you go. I didn't know those were his rules, and I like John Wayne. Stay off the tracks. They are only for trains. If you can read this, you're not a train. Good sign. If an airplane pilot can remember all the buttons, you too can use the turn signal lever. That is like old school. Nobody uses the turn signal anymore. You do. Most of you do, I think. But a lot of folks out there don't. It's better to grow old with a sense of humor than to grow old with no sense at all. I think most of you can speak to that. When a kid says, Daddy, I want mommy, that's the kid version of I'd like to speak to your supervisor. True story. I finally figured out what I want to be when I get older, younger. I finally lost my mind. If found, don't bother to return it. It wasn't working properly anyway. My New Year's resolution, this is true, was going to be to quit all my bad habits. But then it occurred to me no one likes a quitter. Am I right? There you go. Okay, questions and answers. I got this question several times. So it may not be worded exactly the way you sent it, but this is the answer. Prices in the restaurants have recently gone up. The monthly allowance for food stayed the same. How do you decide on prices for restaurant items and our food allowance? So, in 2025, when putting together the budget, we look at all the areas. And we did make a conscious effort decision to leave the food allowance alone, the $500, and we did adjust our pricing on our menus to adjust for the inflation and raw food costs increases that we've seen. I gave the food committee an example yesterday. In 2023, in January, we could buy butter, a 36-pound case, for about $46. And now butter is $156 for that same 36-pound case. So we definitely did adjust the pricing on the menus. We did, if you look at our menus compared to our competitors and even the restaurant, the market, and you're still getting an incredible deal. No place, even at McDonald's, can you buy a burger, fries, and drink for $9, but you can here. And I think it's the best burger in town. You're really still getting a great deal. We will look at it again next year when we create the budget, but we did everything we could to keep the monthly service fees increased down to 3%. I could have increased the monthly service fees by another 1% or 1.5%, and that would have helped us offset the raw food cost. But most of you aren't using all of your dining dollars anyway. So I felt like I could make these adjustments and not really impact you terribly. And I don't, beef tenderloin, fillets, you can get one here for $20. I don't think there's any place in town that you can get one for $20. It's like $45, right? We also allow you to use your dining dollars for guests. And you're still able to eat really well on the $500 that we allot you per month, okay? Next question, kind of on the same thing. If the monthly fee increases by 3% and the menu items are increasing in price, why does the monthly food allowance not increase in keeping with the monthly fee increase? I assume the food allowance is a percentage of the monthly fee. It's really not. They're two separate things. So we really treat them separately when we're doing the budget planning. And it's really more about raw food costs, the budget for food, and and how that budget is used. So it's really not the same. We don't do percentage for percentage. I had, here at Westminster, we had a $500 dining dollars allowance for years before our competitors. Some of them have come up to that dining dollar allowance, but if you look at their menus, they're priced higher than ours. I always want you to feel like you're getting a good deal, and I feel like we are still providing a really good deal. And I'm sorry that some of you aren't satisfied with the no increase to the $9, but that is a way that I use to save and kind of balance the budget. When will the guest rooms on the 3rd floor of the Windsor be completed? These are online now. They're actually being booked. They started being booked last November, I believe, the end of November. I think I announced it in this meeting. So they are available. Sometimes they're booked up. Sometimes, especially during the holidays, all of our guest rooms have been booked. So, according to our son, the Preston stairwells do not have emergency lighting. In the event of a power cut when they were needed, residents would be in complete darkness. What can be done to remedy this dangerous situation? Your son's a liar. Just kidding. We do have emergency lighting in the stairwells. He may have been walking through when we did that power shutdown, when we had to shut down both the generator and the main electric for the Preston switch to be connected. Remember we did that big switch replacement project in the Preston? When we did that, there was no lighting in the stairwells. That's why we had our staff available with flashlights, and we had lighting placed in the stairwells as well. Because during that, so a guy was working to replace the switches and all the wiring, and he didn't want to be electrocuted. And we didn't want to electrocute him, so we had to shut everything down to do this big switch replacement project. And I was kind of disappointed that the switches look the same. They're basically the same color. Everything, they don't look much better, but they are brand new switches that had to be replaced. The switches that were there about 50 years old. But they do have emergency lighting that all sits on the generator. So each building, the Preston, Windsor, and Carlisle has generators that those lighting systems sit on if the power goes out. Are there plans to make the cold tub a hot tub again? And I got this question from a lot of different people in a lot of different ways. Some were kind and some not. But yes, it's a long story. So what happened, we did a boiler replacement for the pool and hot tub in 2024. And the folks that designed the system told me that we can save power and gas by having one boiler that can serve both the hot tub and the pool. Sounds great. Unfortunately, what's been happening is they're mixing down the hot water with cold water to satisfy the pool, and that is not working. And so what I told the contractor that he needs to do is to provide us a boiler for the hot tub, dedicated to the hot tub. And so we'll have a boiler dedicated to the hot tub and a boiler dedicated to the pool, and we should be able to have much better control. And the contractor is going to do it at his expense because he made the mistake in designing the system. So we hope to have that installed in the next couple weeks. But like all things, when you purchase a boiler, you have to order it, and you have to wait for it to come in. So we're doing our best to manage the temperatures, but I know it's not consistent. And that's a problem, especially when the weather is cold like it is now and the water going into that system is really cold. It's difficult to maintain that temperature, okay? When are the art room shelves being installed so we can have room to work there? We hope to have that completed this week. Why do I not see irrigation in my area? There are various zones around the campus that are watered after 11 p.m. In the winter, the irrigation is reduced to around 10 minutes per zone. In the summer, it can be increased to 30 to 40 minutes based on the area. We turn off the irrigation during freezes, so the last week or so we turned it off, and then we'll turn it back on when the temperature comes back. There are several areas where there is drip irrigation, so not all of the irrigation occurring is like a spray. It's actually underneath the mulch, and so it's a drip irrigation system, so you may never see it, but it is there. There are a couple areas where residents are concerned about. There are areas that we'll be testing with the contractor when the temperatures are better and we can actually blow out the system and make sure it's working well. As far as I can tell, though, considering the freeze and everything, the landscape's doing decent. So, when is Westminster going to sweep up the oil-absorbing powder in the Windsor garage? We hope to have this accomplished by the end of next week. Question, is training of residents on the use of AEDs planned? By the time most associates arrive, it's too late. So we have done this training periodically, and we'll be offering sessions over the next year. Also, the AEDs that we have walk you through verbally, so they cue you as to what to do, and there is a card insert that you can use as well. And they are very simple to use. So all the AEDs that we have, they're very simple to use and actually cues you on the next step to perform that. How many of you, if you had a resident that fell out and needed an AED, would be willing to take one of those off the wall and help your friends and neighbors? A few of you? Nice. Okay. How many of you are not comfortable doing it right now? A lot of you? Okay. So we'll try to do a session in the next 2-3 months, okay, on what to use. Yeah. They're really good systems, and they're really easy to use. Are the pool temperatures monitored every day? Yes. Maintenance checks the temperature and chlorine every day and logs it. When Harrisville Hall is renovated, can we get new chairs with padding? Those chairs are extremely uncomfortable for the residents. Is that true?
It's not for everybody.
Okay, raise your hand if you think the chairs are extremely uncomfortable. Okay, raise your hand if you think the chairs are fine. Wow. So some of you need to bring cushions. I don't know. Or work on, in the gym, trying to enhance your derriere. I don't know. Yeah, I'll look into it. The Harrisville Hall is not really being renovated. We're going to take out those storage closets at the back of Harrisville Hall. There's going to be some stuff that happens outside of Harrisville Hall. There's going to be a ramp that's built along the side of Harrisville Hall and some other spaces. But Harrisville Hall itself is not really receiving a renovation. I did not budget for new chairs in 2025. Actually, we went through a process about 3 years ago where we reupholstered all of these chairs, and it had what was called memory foam cushion in the bottom of it, which I thought could be better, and so we did this, and I thought most everybody was happy, and so we'll look at it though. If it's mentioned a lot, it'll probably make it to the list at some point. Because typically we try to get about 10 years out of a chair, a stackable chair like this, and it's been 12? Yeah, 12 years. So, when will you share the plan on how the Rowan will accommodate the number of people who now eat in the Laurel while the Laurel is closed? This will likely be done in February and March. There will also be written education and memos distributed. I can share a little bit now. So, just to give you just a little summary, when the Laurel closes, we will still keep the kitchen open. So the kitchen will produce food, and we will have a distribution spot on probably a second floor of the Preston, apartment 227, I believe. And we'll be doing carry out from that location. So you'll still be able to get food there. And then the Rowan will open for lunch and dinner. And the idea is to have it open from lunch through dinner, so hopefully around 10:30, 11 o'clock, bless you, until it closes at 9. And then there'll be a marrying of the Laurel menu and the Rowan menu. One of the things that we'll need to do is make some modifications to the menu so that we can produce food a little faster than the Rowan currently does, right? Because the Rowan sits about 92 people, which is not enough to serve all of you at one time, right? The bistro will remain open. The menu will stay very much the same as it is. It'll go through every 3-month cycle, but very much the same. But there'll be a marrying of those two things. It's the plan that the construction, the demo, starts in the Laurel first, and that A-wing, and that hopefully we will get the Laurel back to us in 7 to 9 months. So that's the first thing that will be turned over to us in the project. We know how important it is. The good news is that we have 2 dining rooms that can be used even if the Laurel's closed. Back in 2010 when we remodeled the Laurel, we had to use Harrisville Hall for our dining. Anybody remember that? I'm the only one. Oh yeah. Somebody remembers it. And it actually happened, and it worked really well. We did a really good job with it. So I think this is going to be much better, of course, and I think that as we come up with the more logistics planning and we create a firm plan, then we'll roll all of that out to you, and I'll do more education on it, and I'll probably have food and beverage here to explain some of it, okay? Question, does anyone have the responsibility for monitoring channel 1890 in the evenings? Sometimes a movie is scheduled to play and never plays, even though my TV receives channel 1890 just fine. What happens what occurs when that happens and the movie doesn't play? They put a picture of me up or what? Just black screen? Is that what happens? So the answer is yes. Oswaldo has been recently tasked with ensuring that the movie is playing. The movie not playing has been a recent problem, my understanding. I apologize for the inconvenience. How many of you really like 1890? By show of hands. Okay. How many of you think it's the best channel on TV? Nah, not quite. Okay. And the reason I ask is because it's really a challenge for us to keep 1890 functioning well, and it's the alternatives to what we have is not equivalent. So like, you've gone to hotels and you've seen their in-house channel. A lot of them have like slides that are rotating, right? And they have a library of movies that you can check out, but it's not the same as having a pre-programmed channel that's running. And so those are really the alternatives to what we have right now, which is called Touchtown. And I think it's really great. I know it served us really well during the pandemic, and I'd hate to lose it, but I'm just curious about how many of you watch it. So, a lot of you apparently. Question, would TxDOT consider leasing one of their parking lots to Westminster? Seems like a win-win, income for them and parking for us. I like it. The answer is no. I don't say no very often, do I? This has been discussed with them. They have a construction project beginning on their campus as well, and the use of their parking will not be possible. So I actually explored that with them a few years ago. We also explored buying it, but that's a long story some other time. Question, why are so many resident photos missing from the portal's social directory, even though many of their photos are available and posted in the resident photo directory? A picture is worth 1,000 words, and a photo of your fellow resident is worth even more. Ooh, that's nice, isn't it? How can this be fixed? Like it. We will look into the best way to provide a tutorial and instructions on adding these photos for residents. We can also explore the possibility of Westminster doing this upon move-in and updating this in the system. So how many of you know that you can add your own picture to the portal? Yes, okay. And you've done so? No? There's why. How many of you would like to have your picture on the portal? 2 people? So, I don't know. We do ask residents, if they want to be in the pictorial directory, and some people don't, some people do. And we don't force you to do it. You have the capability of doing it. We can do a little tutorial and some instructions, and we can send them out through the portal even, and maybe you can follow those and put your own picture on there. And you can edit your picture. You could probably put up just a beautiful picture of yourself if you're wanting to do that. But we'll look into it, and maybe we'll figure out a way to do that upon movement. Let's see, updates. So the Preston Boiler Project work is underway. I think all of you know that. We hope to complete the project in mid-February. I know I've had some emails from residents concerned about the plumes of steam coming from the boilers that are located outside of the building, and wondering if that is a permanent fixture in your life now, and it is not. We have had to put boilers outside of the building for several months, even almost a year in some cases, because the boiler failed within the mechanical room, and you have to have a permitted solution to it, or put a temporary solution in place, and it's easier to put them outside than it is in, because the boilers, when you install a boiler, you have to upgrade the flue and everything that serves it, and that's why those are out there. You didn't notice it in the spring and summer months and even fall, because the temperature outside was not as cold as it is now. And now you're seeing those plumes of you think it's smoke, but it's actually steam. And those will go away. As the boiler project is completed, all of those boilers are going to be put in mechanical rooms, and all of the flues are being upgraded on those systems. Okay? The HVAC system for the kitchen has been installed. Preston's sprinkler system is still in the bid process. It looks like the city of Austin is going to make us do that at the same time as we're doing phase 4, or the final phase of our expansion project, which will start in April. Solar film is complete on both the Windsor and the Carlisle. I'm hearing now through the grapevine that now the Preston residents would like to have solar film as well. Was that true? You do have solar film already. So you have solar film. Your solar film is installed on the outside of the windows, because at the time of installation, which was 2016, they didn't have this new lead-free solar film that we were able to put on the Carlisle and Windsor. To put solar film on the Preston would be a big deal, because you have solar film on the outside of the windows, and you can't really, unless I find a solution that's recommended, but ideally you don't put solar film on the inside and outside, because heat can build up in between the panes and it causes cracking. And so it's pretty unlikely that we put additional solar film on the Preston. At some point, the exterior solar film will have to come off when it starts to fail, and then at that time we'll look at interior film. I'm always looking though for energy savings for our community, and our team is always looking for options like that. So if you do come across something and it's recommended that it's okay to do that, send it to me. I'm happy to look at it. Certainly I like to save you all money if I can. I think the solar film on the Windsor and the Carlisle is actually decreasing the utility cost that it takes to cool your apartments, which is really pretty fascinating. It's great for the community, so I'm all for that. Elevator project. So the service elevator was completed, and now the first court elevator is underway. It should be inspected in the next week or two, and then the work will start on the other elevator. The Preston Federal Pacific Breaker project was completed successfully. So we have a much safer electrical grid down there in the Preston mechanical rooms. And that was a really well managed project, and I appreciate you all for cooperating with us. I know it was inconvenient, for sure. The Preston HVAC plumbing replacement project for C-Wing started in January, earlier this month. It's going well. We're working on 5th and 4th floors right now. The Windsor Solar Grid is online. I think we talked about that. And we received a rebate check for $268,000, which was nice. And it's producing power. If you're in the Windsor marketing lobby, there's a neat little screen right across from the reception desk, and it shows you how much power the grid is producing daily. And you can drill down into it and find out how many trees we're saving and our carbon footprint, how much carbon dioxide we're reducing. So it's a pretty neat screen if you haven't seen it. Preston Solar Grid. I think over the last few months I've been talking about the Preston Solar Grid and how it hasn't been able to be brought online. We're not going to be able to continue with that project. The city of Austin Energy will not approve any of the alternatives that we have come up with, and the electrical team, the solar folks have come up with, and the only solution that they will allow us to do is going to cost about $750,000 and take out a couple parking spaces, and I don't want to do that. Basically, they want us to build an electrical room in the parking lot around the Preston, and it just doesn't make sense. That grid is actually the smallest of the three. It only produces 50,000 kilowatts, so we're going to pull that grid off and get a full refund from Freedom Solar, because they really should have discovered that in their planning process. When they came out to do a discovery of the systems, they should have discovered that it couldn't be done. So apologize for that, and I'm as disappointed or more so than you are probably. Medical expense deduction letters will be distributed this week if you're looking for those. Woodworking classes at Westminster starting in February. So just like we had pottery classes, we're now starting woodworking classes. And so far, nobody's cut off their fingers in the woodworking shop. We appreciate that. And we're using it successfully. This is a really nice guy, and he's going to be able to show you how to use the equipment down there, and also to create some projects over the next several months. So be looking for more information on that. I think something's coming out in the portal if it hasn't already. Probably has, Ruth. Love it. Just so everybody knows how to use full count at this point? Yeah? Okay. You can also use full count to do reservations. And I'm going to show you how to do that here real quick. So logging into the full count system, you know how to do that probably. Once you're logged in onto your home screen, select the reservations button on the top right. Click on that, and then add new, right? And then you pick the place that you would like to have the reservation. Bistro, and then you pick the meal, and then the date and time. And we ask that you put reservations in for parties of 5 or more, and at least 3 hours in advance. If you put a reservation in like 10 minutes in advance, it kind of defeats the purpose of having reservations. Nobody's doing that here. Canceling a reservation, pretty much the same thing in reverse. And there's the cancel button. Dining dollars, groups, and billing changes, how's that going? Pretty well? Yes? Good. I'm glad to hear that. So you know what's changing, why are we adding the extra groups? It really kind of cut down on compression dining, that's the idea. No, there's not really any change to your monthly statements, just the billing dates have changed. Is the use of dining dollars changing? No, the use of dining dollars remains the same. Am I losing any dining dollars during the transition? No. Is the dining dollars meal plan still part of my monthly fee? Yes. How can I keep track of my dining dollars balance? And you know how to do Everybody knows the schedule by now, probably. Everybody knows how to view your dining dollars in the portal, right? Okay, not gonna go through that then. This will all be posted on the portal so that you can look at the directions if you need to. Everybody knows how to submit maintenance requests on the portal? Yes. Everybody doing it successfully? Okay. We can just skip this whole chat, can't we? No, I'm just kidding. Rachel Gill, if you have any questions, Rachel or Ruth are great to answer questions. Also, I just had lunch with Ruth and the activities team. It's Activities Professional Appreciation Week. So big hand to Ruth and all of them. Keep up the great work, Ruth. Star cards, everybody knows what those are. Do you have a microphone if we need it? Okay. Just a reminder to wash your hands, be healthy. If people are sick, stay home. If you see people sick around you, get away from them. Don't lick elevator buttons, doorknobs, anything like that. Yeah, I know, doorknobs are yummy. I'm not gonna go through the list. We had a great year. 2024 has been a great year. Takeout containers. Please return our takeout containers. We started off with 2,000. We're down to 860. Yeah, that's a lot of takeout containers. So who knows why we instituted this reusable takeout container? Ruth, somebody out there know? Raise your hand. All right, love it. Yes, here we go. She's going to tell us why we have this reusable takeout container program.
I'm not the expert on it by any means, but I know that
You're brave, that's good enough for me.
I know the reusable takeout containers were initiated because that way we have less recycle, we have less plastic being put into the recycle facilities, and we're able to reuse those containers. And y'all, in fact, if people just simply put them in the area where the trash and recycle is, there's a cart for them, and y'all run them through the dishwasher. They're perfectly sanitary.
Here's all the locations that you can drop them off, right? So yeah, please, thank you very much. Yeah, please return those containers. We're going to continue with the program, but one of the things that we were kind of hoping was that it was going to save us the community money and resources, and it's really not. But it will if you will participate in the program and return those to-go boxes. Okay. If you gave them away as Christmas presents, a little late, but do try to return those boxes. Yes, ma'am.
I just wonder if it's because you have to take it somewhere that they're not getting returned. Perhaps if they could be put out on the days that you pick up recycle and trash and take it back, you might get a better response.
Okay. Yeah. How many of you feel that way? Quite a few. Okay. We'll look at that, and maybe if nothing else, an amnesty day where you can put them out and not be blamed. We used to do that with our dishes when people would take our dishes and sell them at Hidden Treasures and stuff, which has really happened. That's a true story. We would create an amnesty day once a month where you can just come and pick them up, just give them back to us. Years ago when I was a diet aide, there was a lady that she was kind of a hoarder. And she took all of her plates and glasses and she would hoard them in her room. And once a month, the dietary manager would send me down to her room to get the plates and cups back. And most of the time, the nurse's aides would distract her, and she would never know that I went in her room and grabbed those plates. But one time she caught me and she took her shoe off and was hitting me on the head. So, yeah. None of you have been that bad, so I appreciate that. All right, I have some time for questions if anybody wants to ask any that didn't get submitted. Ruth, right up here in the front.
Do you have any idea of when the construction starts, what hours they're going to work?
Yes. Okay, so do I have any idea when the construction starts, what hours they're gonna work? The hours are gonna be normal business hours. There will be, just like we did on the Carlisle and the Windsor, normal business hours around 8 o'clock in the morning until about 5 o'clock at night. There will be times when, like for instance, in the summertime, when the temperatures are north of 95 degrees, when you need to do a concrete pour or something like that, that they might start early. And when those occur, I will send out notices to everybody and let you know ahead of time. Okay? But normally, we do try to keep normal business hours because we know it's disruptive. And so they should not be working at 10 o'clock at night or any of that stuff, or, 4 o'clock in the morning. That'll be fine. Anything else? Okay. Yeah, let's wait till you get a microphone.
The 1,000 or more returnables that have not been returned, have they been thrown away, or are they in people's closets, or do you have any idea?
I don't know, I thought we would start an apartment-to-apartment search. And I was gonna use a group of residents. I've got a special uniform for you to wear. I'm not sure, I don't know. I'm just kind of, hey, pretty please, bring them back. Yeah, well, I don't know. We'll try to find out. I think some have been thrown away, naturally. And, somebody mentioned private sitters. Well, you have private sitters, you need to train your private sitters, your employees to follow the rules and to return those. Some, about 50, 60 of them have been thrown away because they were stained, right, or broken. But for the most part, they're just missing, so I don't know if it's thrown away or what. So if you would, just go back in your apartment and kind of look around and see if you have any of those to-go containers, and if you do, please send them back. If you have friends that maybe have forgotten, or you think they might have forgotten to send them back, hey, kind of inspire them to send them back, because it's good for everybody, right? We'll purchase more to keep going, but it's not a recycling program. It's not really helping us decrease our carbon footprint if we have to continue to buy them. So keep that in mind.
What do you do? Remind them of the cost of the box.
The cost of the box, I think it's $6 a piece.
Runs you right under $4.
Well, yeah, it depends on how many we buy at a time. But yes, it's between $4 and $6 about. But yeah, if we buy a lot of them at a time, they give us a discount, which is great. But the non-recyclable, it depended on the size, but about 40 cents. Yeah.
Chuck, I know I'm beating a dead horse, but, you
I can
say
take
that.
it.
Can you hear me?
I can take it, yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Uh,
Am I the dead horse you're beating?
No.
Oh,
It's the dining dollar.
Oh, the dining
that
dollars.
I'm going to be.
okay.
With the increase in the prices, there's in fact an inflationary component to it. So our dining dollars buy less food.
That's true.
I just want to bring that up and ask if you could think about that.
I'm aware, but like I said before, most of you are not using all of your dining dollars anyway. Yes, you're right, that's exactly true, but, do you need to eat beef tenderloin every day? No, right, most of you don't. And I think if you use the menu and order even a very robust menu in breakfast and lunch or breakfast and dinner, you're still able to eat on those $500 a month. And, I will look at it again when I do the 2026 budget, but I really feel like we're being fair. I know it's a little bit worse than it was before, but what you had before, it's still fantastic. It's still fantastic. You're able to use your dining dollars for family and friends and guests to come in. You're able to use your dining dollars for liquor purchases, cocktail purchases, wine if you want. There may be a point in time that I look at that, and if it starts to dilute our raw food budget, I may have to make some adjustments there. But, you know, right now, I really think it's a great deal. And so, yes, we did make some adjustments, but we really just kind of tried to write the menu pricing to really at least cover raw food cost. And I think we've done that very, very successfully. Yes, ma'am?
Back to recycling, I noticed that you use little cardboard, little cardboard cups.
Soup containers and things, yes. Mhm.
And you're using a paper straw. I was just wondering if you couldn't, instead of using so much plastic, use a little bit more of those that.
Paper is easier to recycle, yes. And the idea was to start with these larger to-go boxes, and then move into those other areas as well. So we wanted to start with these larger trays, and then eventually get to a reusable soup container, reusable ice cream containers and those things. But, you know, we wanted to start with one item, and it's not working out very well. So, but I agree with you. At one time during the pandemic, we tried to use paper to-go boxes, cardboard to-go boxes, and they started breaking down before the meal was over. So we stopped doing that. But definitely we want to look for areas to recycle, but more importantly, we wanted to be able to reuse if we're able to. So, appreciate the question. Yes, sir.
Regarding having,
Try holding it like this.
regarding having the people or the person who picks up the garbage also handle the dishes, sounds to me like a very bad idea. I think Danny does a remarkably good job, and it seems to me like it's kind of simple, and he does it well, and I can't see how it would be improved by mixing it with, or expecting him to sort out recyclables.
Agreed. I understand. Thank you. Yeah, good comment.
I want to comment on two things. First of all, I am so proud of the associates that spent the night here Monday night to make sure we were medically taken care of, protected, fed. I mean, we are very grateful for the wonderful associates we have on the other thing is, I'm perfectly happy with the dining dollars. I just have one question. What happens to the ones I don't use? Does dining get them back?
They go away. Yeah. They kind of, yeah, dining does get them back in a way, right? They're just unspent dollars. We don't carry them over month to month, but they're gone. And, you know, how many of you have been to other senior living communities to eat? Okay. The quality of food that we're serving here is better than most of them, right? Yeah. Right. Agreed, right? It's a great. The meat that we buy, the steaks that we buy, the hamburger patties that we have, all of those things are like choice. They're like A grade, fantastic, best you can buy. So, like, again, I say, you're getting a great deal here at Westminster. If you look at everything across the board, all of our competitors, the restaurant industry, whatever you want to look at, those $500, yeah, if you don't use all of it, what are we buying jets with it? No, it's staying here in Westminster, and we're able to buy the high quality food that we are. That helps offset the raw food costs. That's all it does. And it's, you know, it's a huge raw food budget that we have as a community. We spend more here, probably twice more here on raw food than the typical senior living community. But we spend a fourth of what those senior living communities do in advertising. And I think the quality of life of the residents is dramatically improved by having a fantastic dining program, culinary program, than it is spending $1 million on advertising. So, it's an extraordinary program. Yes, ma'am, with the microphone.
Chuck, my name is Frances Woodruff.
Yes, ma'am.
And I wonder if when everybody talks, they could state their name, because a lot of times we have no idea who's asking for this or that.
Okay.
Good idea.
First of all, I think it's wonderful that we're composting, and I wonder if everybody is aware of that, that you can bring the compost up to those rooms you're talking about, where you put the, other trash and stuff.
Right, right.
Why couldn't we, I agree with someone who spoke over here, why couldn't we have the people that pick up our trash on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, set them out separately outside their door and collect them all? I mean, that's already something that's happening, so we're not adding anything to it. But to put them outside the door,
Are you talking about to-go boxes or composting?
I'm talking now about the boxes.
Oh, the
that we
boxes.
have,
Well,
lost a lot of them.
I would say that, and I'm just thinking worst case scenario because I'm an old administrator, right? But I'm thinking that some people don't rinse out their to-go boxes very well, and they're gonna maybe set them out there and the carpet's gonna get dirty and stained. Same reason I wouldn't want them to put their composting bags outside of their apartment, because they're just gonna put it on the floor. I don't know, certainly it's something we'll think about, but I would really like to continue the operation that we have and really encourage your associates, your friends and neighbors to do what they can to support the cause.
Yeah, I think
Let's
we need-
start there.
I hear you, and
Yeah.
I think we should take responsibility for something you're asking us to do.
Yeah.
And take it, because you've responded to what we had wanted in the
Requested.
first place, so we need to do our part.
Appreciate that.
I'm Bernie Schiff, and I'm on the Sustainability Committee, which we're looking at recycling all kinds of things. Unfortunately, I'm on the 4th floor of the Windsor, and we have a big recycling container. And you won't believe the things that are put in there that are not recyclable. Only items, plastic items 1 and 2 are recyclable. So don't take your single-use containers that you get from the kitchen when you, from your dining, and take it into your apartment. Don't assume that that's recyclable. Normally, it's a 6, but they also have some that are 1, and the larger ones that they sometimes give out that have got the black bottoms are 5s. We don't want to see any of those. Also, when you get things in the mail, we don't want to see the plastic wrappings, any plastic wrappings. We don't want to see plastic wrappings on cookies. We don't want to see thin plastic wrappings ever. We don't want to see light bulbs. We don't want to see we don't want to see masks that you're wearing. It's got rubber bands on it. I can continue on and on and on what we get in these trash cans, but that's only the one I look at. And so some of you are using your imagination to come up with things that you think are recyclable. They're not recyclable. The paper cups that we get, many of those are plastic coated. They're not recyclable. The soup containers and fruit containers, if you read the side, they're compostable. So you can put those just like they are in the compost area. So read the labels, and if it says a 1 or 2 on plastic, you're all set. We don't want to see milk cartons. Milk cartons go in the trash. So there are tons of things that you're putting in recycle that goes in the trash. If you're not sure, throw it in the trash. We would only like to see recycled things in the recycled containers.
That sounds like a recycling chat all to itself. Any more? All right, thank you all very much. Appreciate you.
Don't forget the buses leave at 3:30 for those who have signed up for the Alzheimer's lecture today.